They were looking at some dirty pictures.
Put God first, kid.
Evil thoughts.
Today's story is about a Christian TV show from the 80s that was taken off air because one of its characters has a dark secret.
If going to church every Sunday makes you a Christian, then going to McDonald's every week must make me a hamburger.
Joy to the world. Joy Junction is the place to be. Joy for you and me.
It's the 1980s, and kids who are raised in a Christian household and are lucky enough to have a TV grow up watching a show called Joy Junction. The variety game show airs on the Christian Television Network, and it's basically the Christian version of Sesame Street, but on a budget. It seems innocent enough.
Come and join us for a half hour of fun and games at Joy Junction.
It takes place in a fictional village where kids compete in different games while learning valuable lessons from the Bible. And many of these lessons are taught by the show's star duo, Ron and Marty. Ronald William Brown is a Christian man that lives in a trailer park in Florida called Whispering Pines. He makes his living as a ventriloquist, and when he's not performing on Joy Junction, he's doing live shows for kids at schools, churches, and birthday parties. Ron's known around his local community as a fun, generous guy and is pretty good with kids. He invites them over to play games, picks them up and takes them to church, and every Wednesday he hosts a pizza party for all the kids in the community to enjoy free of charge. Fast forward to May 23, 2012. A man from Kansas named Michael Arnett is arrested by Homeland Security for the possession of illegal photographs and videos of minors. Investigators dig deeper to find that he's been communicating with another man via online chat rooms on yahoo.com. Michael uses the screen names CK_366, Sweet Talker Linda, and Calfkeeper2 to communicate with a user named UE Lime. And when the agents open up the chats, it is far worse than they thought. Hundreds of videos and images of young people bound, deceased, and posed in inappropriate lewd ways. However, what's even more disturbing is the conversation between Michael and the anonymous user, but more on that later. Investigators managed to track down UE Lime by issuing a grand jury subpoena to Yahoo, who were forced to provide the user's email, location, and IP address. They eventually pair the email to a school system in Florida, where they find a man named Ron who's listed as a puppeteer who performs for ages K through 8. They then run a background check to find that there are 2 reported incidents involving the suspect. One of these reports occurs in 1998, where Ron is pulled over for a traffic violation and a police officer notices a pair of young boys' underwear wedged between his front seat. The report reads that when questioned about this, Ron says that these were simply clothes for his puppet, so he's let off the hook. Another report from 2010 is made by one of Ron's neighbors.
They'd come with their bikes and their skateboards and they'd hang out waiting for him to come home.
She claims that he's taking young boys in his vehicle to church without their parents' permission. She'd also claimed that Ron had locked up all the boys' bikes and skateboards in his trailer and described him as a bit off. July 17, 2012. 2 months after the arrest of Michael Arnett, investigators come across a website called cutedeadguys.net. It's there they find a profile of a man named Ron from Florida. He states in his interest, quote, "I love them young and dead. I enjoy them fresh, but like to see them displayed in their caskets too." His bio states that he has a strong interest in necro, meaning that he has a sexual preference toward the dead. Homeland Security links the IP of this user to Ron Williams and issues a federal search warrant at his mobile home. Officers then knock at the door, Ron opens up, and he's immediately taken out of his home and thrown to the ground in handcuffs. They then begin searching throughout his trailer, where they find DVDs, VHS tapes, and a thumb drive, all containing various pieces of illegal media.
It's evidence this guy's neighbors call simply disgusting.
They then step into Ron's bedroom, where they open up his sock drawer to find a CD with videos of a child, and right next to it, a missing child poster. On Ron's computer, they discover a folder titled Castin. They double-click it to find photos of a young child displayed inappropriately across a metal table. They then proceed to open up Yahoo and find that his screen name is, you guessed it, UE Lime. Ron then admits that he's a part of a Yahoo strangle group and regularly chats with the users CK_366, Sweet Talker Linda, and Calfkeeper2. And these three usernames all of course belong to Michael Arnett, and the conversations between him and Ron are quite disturbing. Ron tells him about his plan to kidnap a young boy from his church and do unspeakable things to him. Michael then recommends different methods to cause the boy pain, and the two get particularly excited about the idea of eating him. Ron then says that Michael had actually tried to meet up with him in Florida, but claims he didn't do it because he had no interest in living out these twisted fantasies. In 2013, Ronald William Brown is sentenced to 20 years in prison, is registered as a sex offender, and will never again be able to use the internet or have contact with children. Now, some argue that this sentence is actually too harsh, considering the average punishment for this act is 8 years. However, Judge James Whitmore, the person presiding over the case, says differently. Perverted is not a strong enough word to describe what you've been engaging in. The risk is that obsession becomes more than fantasy. At what point does that line between fantasy and risk of threat get crossed? Ron's case is part of Operation Halitna, which is a multi-year international investigation led by Homeland Security. To this day, over 160 children have been rescued, with more than 50 perpetrators being arrested worldwide as a result of the investigation. Operation Halitna continues to work hard, trying to put a stop to this network of criminals sifting through hundreds of thousands of pieces of evidence. They're forced to read disturbing chats as well as view images and videos of children, all in an effort to see if these men are truly living out their dark desires. In hindsight, it's fair to assume that Ronald William Brown should have taken his own advice.
They said, Marty, come over here and take a look at our pictures. So I walked on over there and I took a look. And do you know what it was? What was it, Marty? Well, it was in Arizona, I'll tell you that right now. Ron, they were looking at some dirty pictures and they wanted me to look too. You know, that kind of reminds me of a verse I'm thinking of in the Bible that's found in 2 Timothy 2:22. And it says that you should run away from anything that will give you evil thoughts. And as your companions, you should have friends who have pure and clean thoughts and will only give you good ideas. I decided to turn around and go right back home.
Whisper to me, I just ain't say less. Worked hard, I got a little bit of clout. Safe to say now they impressed. Free roam through this whole game without a GPS or a map. They say what I do's easy, but don't do it. There's no ignoring that. What I put together, I thread the needle, it's so intact. People in my hometown wonder, hey, where Joey at? Where'd you go? Where you go? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Where'd you go?
From the office of the governor, all pleas for clemency are hereby denied. Prepare. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now! Justice has been served.